Hello, my babies. Welcome back to another episode. It's your girl, MamMaJi, aka MamMaJi, and you are listening to MamMaJism. It has been an interesting week, to say the least. Just a few housekeeping things. I'm in the process, well, I technically already did it, but I'm making the switch from Anchor to Libsyn. So I will explain probably in the next episode what that means and why I decided to do that. But I just wanted to say that because depending on where you listen to the episode, it might redirect you or it might look a little different, and that's because I'm working on a lot of different things on the back end. So hopefully this episode finds you well. And worse comes to worse, if I don't get the audio fully situated, I do post my podcast episodes on YouTube as well, which is under MamMaJism also. So the link is still in my bio for that as well. But it's just going to look a little different, and there won't be ads. Yay for you. And yeah, a lot of moving parts, but again, I'll explain that in the next episode. I didn't want to talk about it this episode because, it just makes sense to talk about this topic today, since my 1-year anniversary with my therapist has come and went. I had my first session with her January 8th of 2020. And if you are new here, you probably didn't hear one of my past episodes. It's titled, I Broke Up With Him. It was low-key clickbait because I was in a relationship, but I broke up with him also. So people probably thought that episode was going to be me talking about that breakup, but it was actually me breaking up with my original therapist, my very first therapist that I got. And the reason why I broke up with that therapist is because, for one, he was a man, and I had specifically asked for a woman therapist. His first name is Morgan, though, so I assume that the person working at the front desk doesn't know all of the people working there. So she saw Morgan and just ran with it and was like, yeah, this is the person for her. And it wasn't. He was a man, and I wanted to still give him a few sessions just to be sure, because I didn't want to make the mistake of saying, oh, no, go ahead and give me a new therapist now, and then miss out on possible gems that he may throw my way. And then I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I don't need necessarily a woman therapist. Maybe a man will be able to help me and assist me in the ways that I need. So I gave it like 3 or 4 therapy sessions, and it just wasn't hitting. We didn't have the chemistry or the connection that I needed in order to feel comfortable and safe enough to share the things that I was hoping to share with my therapist. So I had to give him the boot. But I will say he did give me some good gems, and he recommended this phenomenal book on codependency, which I severely struggle with. And I'm very thankful for that. So I definitely believe that I was paired with him for a reason. And because I was paired with him and decided to make the switch when I did, I was able to have the current therapist that I do now. And it wouldn't have been possible beforehand because she had literally just made the switch over to the company that I use for my therapy sessions. And so it was fate. She was meant to be my therapist. I love her so fucking much. I love her so much. And I would say her name, but just in case I'm not, because yeah, privacy and all that stuff. But true queen. And yeah, my very first session with her was also her very first time working with the company, and maybe her second or third therapy session for like that day. So, the stars aligned, it was meant to be, and it was beautiful. And, it's funny when you look back on your life and you kind of don't really see the growth that you have experienced or accumulated until you kind of do take that moment to be mindful. And like I said, this is the year of living for me, right? So I'm doing a lot more mindfulness exercises. I'm doing a lot more pausing, taking a break, and taking everything in, and doing some reflection, especially with this shadow work I've been doing. And it's made me realize that, damn girl, you've grown. Like, you've really, in a year's worth of time, especially a COVID year, listen, a quarantine year, that's like 8 years. That's like 8 years balled up into one. You feel me? Like, COVID hit us pretty hard from March on and up until this point. Now we got vaccines rolling out, which is cool. But, you know, March onward into 2020, man, it was like we were in a time warp. Like, the time was just ridiculous. But because of that, I have experienced so much growth, and it's forced me to face parts of me that I really was trying to avoid and was using other people as an escape, or alcohol as an escape, weed, all these other things that, you know, they get the job done in the moment, but once it all subsides, once you flush out all the toxins and things in your body, it's like you're still left with the very thing that you're trying to escape from, right? So what do we do in that moment? Well, we have to face it, because it'll be sitting there waiting for us at the door. Okay, like there is no escaping it. So it's really up to you to decide when you want to face those things, or, you know, keep finding more ways and more reasons to hide from it. And I got tired of doing that, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So that was why I wanted to do therapy in the first place. I really wanted to face my demons head on, you know. Anyway, so it was our 1 year anniversary, and I had a therapy session with her last week, and I was filling her in because she took vacation, rightfully so, because it was the holidays or whatever. So I hadn't talked to her for like 3 weeks, which was 1 week too long, because I usually have my sessions every other week. But now I'm boosting, I'm kicking it up to every week, because we got a lot of unearthing to do. So I was just filling her in on all of the stuff that happened while me and her haven't been talking. And it's funny, because it's only in the weeks where I'm not talking to her where shit just goes south and I really need to talk to her. But then by the time that I do finally talk to her, I have it all figured out, and I'm like, so this is what happened, just catching her up on the tea, you know? And she's like, well, I'm glad you figured that out. And then we kind of, you know, dig a little deeper. But it's always funny how life kind of makes you face your shit without having that backup. So when I do get to talk to her, I make sure that I unload and make sure that, you know, I'm doing what I need to do for myself. So I was, one particular instance, I'm going to put myself on blast for a brief second. So I'm on the dating apps, right? Because I feel like it's the perfect time. We're in quarantine. Like, why not get to know each other, our minds, kind of, I guess. Because sometimes the physical and like being in person can kind of distract you or keep you from actually getting to know a person, right? So on the dating apps, I matched with this guy. His profile was like to a T the type of man that I need in my life, or at least the type of man that I would expect would be my equal, or someone who I would really be into, right? Like into meditation and mindfulness. Like literally everything on his profile was like to a T who I am and the things that I believe in. So I'm like, what perfect match? What's poppin'? So we're talking, we get to know each other a little bit better, and we're supposed to have like, you know, he offered to like for us to go like on a date or like do something outside, but I was like, not really ready for all that. You know, I am still trying to be mindful of the fact that even if it doesn't affect me, COVID, even if it doesn't affect me as hard as others, I'm not trying to be just carrying this shit and just giving it to other people. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna keep it virtual for now until it makes sense for us to meet in public or whatever. He's like, bet, fine, that's cool. So we were like, all right, FaceTime date, let's hit it. So long story short, because I'm not about to get into this whole thing with y'all, but long story short, it was kind of a little bit of phone tag at play, because I had some things that I had to do at one point, and then he had things he had to do, and then we ended up just not talking. And I had told him, and this was on Christmas Eve, right? So Christmas Day rolls around, and I wish him a Merry Christmas if he celebrates it, because I didn't remember if he said he did or not. No response. Actually still have not heard from him till this day. It was just so weird. It was like a week of like us really talking, getting to know each other, and planning on having this like a phone call to like talk more in depth about things, because texting just gets to be too much sometimes. And it just never happened. Now, old MamMaJi, 2020 MamMaJi, she would have spiraled, because this is one of my triggers. I can't tell you how many men have ghosted me in my life. And it's something that I'm constantly trying to work on not allowing to affect me in the ways that it has in the past, right? So when this happened, I was like, jeez, what's going on? Like, we almost to the end of 2020. So of course 2020 got to kick me in my ass one last time, right? So I'm like, okay, so I don't think that we'll be talking again. I don't know what happened. I'm not going to blame myself. I'm not going to make up situations in my head like I normally do, because he's leaving me with nothing. So I have to assume the worst, right? It's like, I'm not going to do that, you know? Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully it's not COVID related and he's fine and everything is Gucci on his side. Maybe he just decided he didn't want to, you know, talk anymore. Cool. I don't need closure. I mean, I can get closure from myself, right? I don't need to receive closure from somebody else. And so with that being said, I was just like, bet, you know, cool. Went on about my day, didn't stress about it, didn't overthink, overanalyze, or anything. And it was a moment where I had to kind of sit back and be like, MamMaJi, you grown, girl. You've really outdone yourself. Like, I was just so proud of who I have become as a person. And, you know, sometimes it's just not that deep. And when you want to live your life, you can't be boggled down by like minor inconveniences, especially when you don't know the source. You don't know the reason why things happened the way that they did. The only thing you can do is control how you react to it, right? Well, I'm choosing to react in a way that makes sense for me, which is to move the fuck on and keep pushing. Because, I mean, it's one guy on a dating app that, I mean, quite frankly, I didn't know too well other than what we talked about. And even that could have been a lie, you know? So it's like so many moving parts. It's whatevs. I'm chilling. I hope he's okay. I really do hope he's okay, though. I was kind of concerned for a minute, like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? But not my business. So on to the next. But it's just one of those things. So I had told my therapist about that situation happening and then something else happening, but we won't get into that because y'all don't really need to be all up in my business. But it was just like one of those moments where it's just like, like, you knew me a year ago when I was going wild and like it was hard for me to stop myself from doing dumb stuff, right? And here we are, you know? And so when we ended the therapy session, the last thing she said to me was, happy 1-year anniversary, you know? Like, we didn't ghost each other. We had great communication. Like, she just went down the list, and like the callback was just chef's kiss. Like, it was just perfect. And I was just like, yes, sis, like, I'm just so happy that I have someone like you in my life who can help guide me, you know? And it was just a beautiful moment. And I just wish that for everybody. If you're into therapy, if you've been in therapy or whatever the case may be, I hope that it works out for you in your favor in the way that makes sense for you. She has definitely helped and pushed me in a lot of different ways. And I can proudly say that I have grown so much thanks to her guidance and her support. So shout out to her. I know you're never going to listen because you can't, but I love you so much. And I just wanted to share that with y'all because basically, and this is, okay, let me just say this. So the challenge for today, or not for today, but for this week is to take a moment and think about where you were a year ago today, whenever it is that you're listening to this, and see if you can pinpoint moments in your life where you're like, oh, I would have reacted completely differently if this was a year ago, but now I've grown from the situation. Or maybe you're in a better position business-wise, money-wise, relationship-wise, whatever the case may be. Take that moment to kind of think about like, whoa, because at the end of the day, it's been a year. Things have changed. Whether you've like actively tried to pursue it or not, things have changed. So see if you can, you know, pat yourself on the back and give yourself those subtle victories as to how and when it happened. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Also, if you see me on the dating apps and I know you, no, you didn't. Mind your business. Wait, unless you're like you for real trying to see what's up. Like, see what's up. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for listening. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and follow all the socials at MamMaJism. That's MamMaJism. If you decide you want to financially support me, on my accounts you'll be able to find out how. Thanks in advance. Until we meet again, please be kind to one another. And from the bottom of my heart, I love you.